Hi, I'm Kathleen Byram, and I'm here to read to you today Out of the Funny Farm into the Fire, Chapter 11, from Conversations with Dawnkey, A Bipolar Journey. This was written February 12th, 2010. Random ramblings from the recently released Dawnkey. Beware long rambling ahead. Some of you in the know about the expression I like to spread around. Thanks for the fleas. This expression refers to Corrie ten Boom's The Hiding Place, a story told about her experiences in a concentration camp. She tells of her sister Betsy's penchant for thanking God for all things. Corrie loses her temper and snarkily asks, "Even the fleas?" Betsy says, "Yes, let's thank him for the fleas." And so they did. It came to their attention afterward that their Bible, the only source of hope and inspiration they had, was free from confiscation, because their barracks were flea-ridden and the guards wouldn't come in. Yesterday, Wednesday, was a mixed bag of fleas. I'll get back to that later. I got out of Woodland Hospital on Tuesday around 1:30. I really wasn't ready to go. I knew I would have a big load of responsibilities waiting for me, the most pleasant of which would be contacting all the cheese friends who had supported me. My family and I ended up wasting precious time going to Mercy Medical for paperwork that wouldn't be ready until Wednesday. Then I had to go pay bills and run errands with deadlines. I had all sorts of nasty surprises awaiting me with my car as my father and son tinkered with it. It is a 92 Acura with, I swear, what surely must be a poltergeist inside. Methinks said poltergeist was angered by their tinkering. 'Nuff said. Here's a synopsis of what happened to me and what I did since January 27th. Many of you know the dynamics of my relationship with my father. It is an extremely rare, to the point of shocking, occasion for me to talk back to him and get into an altercation. This is what happened. The details aren't important or this post will never end. Suffice it to say that I quickly exploded out of control and into a rage from all the suppression, and it was ugly. Of course, he did not see this as something to stop and analyze. He merely responded with cold fury. I was so enraged with impotent fury that I went to my room and continued to drink. Eventually, late at night, drunk and in a tunnel vision. That means, dear friends and fellow Christians, that I had no thoughts of my family, including my son, or my cheese friends, or God. I simply had a one-track mind and nothing else. Very scary. When the Bible says he who is deceived by it is not wise, that is not a ticket to drunkenness. It is a warning about the slippery slope that drunkenness is. I pried off the blades of a disposable razor, and I cut my wrist. It was harder than I suspected. I then thought about laying down on my arm and making it numb, and then cutting it. Thank God I was too impatient and angry to bother. I just let it slowly bleed and thought I would just go to bed and let it bleed out. I awoke pissed off and severely angry to be alive. I finally went to the computer and started researching what I could do for help. I just knew it wasn't right to be doing this, but I didn't value myself enough to think I was worthy of going to the ER. It was a scary thought to go to the ER. I have never done anything like this before. I was afraid I'd be treated with derision and turned away. I have no money or insurance to pay that kind of bill. I knew calling an ambulance would awaken the household and might bring derision and anger and all manner of hysteria from my family. No, I wasn't thinking clearly, but I can still imagine my father's face of disbelief and anger at the possibility of waking up to such a spectacle. So I got in the car and drove to the ER. At this point, my wrist had a nasty cut in it, but it wasn't oozing, so that was no heroic feat. They were so kind at the ER. I was immediately taken into the back, and they had me in a room on a bed within a few minutes. I was to end up being there from about 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. I cried on and off all day. I was sad, numb, and felt hopeless. I was like a zombie. Important note: if you ever go to the ER and ask them to notify your family, don't. Ask for a phone and call them yourself. I asked them to notify mine and was told okay, by an unknowing soul, I'm sure. And then lay there for hours and hours, expecting with doom to see their faces come around the corner peering at me, as I lay there feeling smarmy from my incredibly selfish act. When they didn't come, I started to wonder. Finally, in the afternoon, I asked again and was told they don't notify. I found out I could have a phone brought to my room and was told sure, and there was no time limit. I immediately got a hold of Mom. I don't know why I thought my mother would be exasperated and disgusted with me, but she was not, of course. Maybe I thought it was because I was so tired of myself that I thought she was too. She was terribly kind and warm. Unfortunately, it was too late for them to get there on time with anything for me before I transferred to Woodland at 4:30. The techs were so nice and friendly. Everyone was. It was an eye-opening experience. I figured they could see my lame, wussy attempt at cutting myself and look at me with a pained, disgusted expression, saying, "You are wasting our time. We are here for real victims, real patients, not the likes of your pathetic, whiny self." It was humbling to be treated so kindly by everyone. They drove me to Woodland Hospital in Woodland, California. It was embarrassing to be wheeled in, strapped on a stretcher, and knowing all the patients were checking me out. Again, I was met with much kindness. When I plainly, as I do dawkishly, told them that the chair was too small for my big butt, and I needed another chair without arms, the sweet tech started talking about how tall I was. I'm only 5'5½", but she was tiny, as if to say, "Oh, you're not fat, you're tall." Such a sweet lady. The next day my family came. I felt awkward. Not much smiling. Still zombie-like. I think Mom was kind of stunned. It truly was a strange thing for me to do. Sean was his normal, serious-faced self. Dad was subdued and polite. He did not appear to be drunk. They brought me things. Never during my stay did I ever feel that taboo feeling of being in a psych ward or afraid of it. I just cocooned and felt taken care of and calm. Sometimes I cried and was depressed, but it got better. The food was wonderful and plentiful, and the staff and patients came to care for me. They diagnosed me with depression, bipolar disorder, and gave me antabuse. Those 3 meds have knocked me for a loop. I'm always sleepy and I'm confused too. I'm unable to think of simple things sometimes. I haven't gone back to work yet. I'm stressing over that. I don't know if I can. I'm a courier. Calling the doctor tomorrow to talk about that problem. I didn't miss the alcohol when I was in there. Don't really miss it now either. Isn't that strange? While in the hospital, I called work and was told this co-worker, a girl I feel like a mother or sister to, a very young married mom with 2 small kids, had lost her husband. He died of a brain aneurysm. His funeral was when I was in the hospital. She had no idea why I didn't come to it. I was devastated. I called her and cried and explained what happened and how sorry I was. He was the only goodness in her life, I think, besides her kids. How incredibly heartbreaking. I keep thinking about Valentine's Day and how hideous it will be for her. There is always someone else to make you realize what a whiner you are being. What can I say to her? I'm at a loss. Wednesday, I spent approximately 4 hours messing around with a medical-like office. You'd think I'd be about crazy. I filled out the form wrong and basically was an idiot. Poor clerk. I was very calm, though, then started crying at some point before the paperwork fiasco, for no discernible reason. Just sat there and the tears poured down. That's what it's been like, this crazy behavior. Coming home, I thought about my cheese friends and how much they love me and support me and what a heinous, selfish thing I'd done. And I realized, even given that, they loved me anyway. Then for the first time, the enormity of God's same kind of love struck me, and I felt like a worm. I began verbally accosting myself and crying. I started questioning my good works. I decided I was a coward who did good deeds because subconsciously I'm afraid of punishment. And I think being good will keep me out of trouble, not because I'm a good person. I basically ripped myself several new orifices on the way home, howling all the way. Then I decided to throw melodramatic attention whore into the mix. And that I was beating myself up so I could get my melodramatic spike fix. I was doomed. I could think of no good intentions, no purity of motive to defend myself. By the time I got home, I was exhausted from the self-attack and its resulting confusion. That's what I'm going through. It is very selfish. I feel I need the positive feedback, yet I feel guilty about it. I am staying hopeful for when the meds kick in. Right now I'm just feeling kind of strange. More later if I think of it. Thank you to all who sent love and concern and posted and emailed. I love you all so much. You helped me get through. Bless you and yours. That's the next chapter will be Valentine's, a mixed bag. I know this has been probably the most serious, one of the most serious parts of this book, and I appreciate you watching till the end. And if you did, would you make me a note about it in the comments so I can thank you. Thank you for listening. Oh, it looks like my cursor's doing weirdness again. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.